Hello everybody, Vicky here. Yep, another voiceover. I will tell you in a bit why it's another voiceover. So what I'm hanging on to there is I was not able to do too much, so I opened my scrap drawer and pulled out a few scraps and started playing. And this little, I don't know, journaling folio, I guess you could call it. That's what I ended up with, just fiddling around and playing just mindlessly. Now, I can't actually remember anybody making these. Otherwise, I would give a shout out to whoever it was. Maybe I'll get back to you on it. Just let me think about it. So, that one that I did was quite big. Now, I'm deliberately not going to give you any measurements because it will be the size that you all need it to be. And I was just saying that the size I'm doing it is 7 by 7 because that'll fit into any journal that I make. So I made sure I had one white one because I wanted to show you this that I'd forgotten I'd had. Like artisan powders, I think they're designed to antique things. So it's a dry powder and it's a way to give a little bit of colour to, like in my case, a stark white. And I didn't want stark white, so I've just put a very light dusting of pink, and it's Antoinette, I think, and they're a Prima product. And now I'm just going through, I'm making 5 of these, so we've got a mass make on our hands here. So I've gone through and scored them in half and folded them. Now, no matter how careful we are, sometimes we have just a little bit. We're just a little bit off, so just take a minute just to straighten the edge up again, and that's all that's needed. So, like I said, I've got 5 of these, so that means I've got 5 lots of paper to match, or 5 folios. So rather than have it identical, like one paper throughout, I mixed and matched the papers a little bit, and I had to bring in another paper. The 5th one didn't go with the last folio that was left. Now, once again, no measurements. I found a bit of scrap paper that I wanted to use, so I'm just marking it off how deep these pockets will be. I've made the pockets so that they don't go from edge to edge, from edge to fold. You don't want your pockets to be sitting inside that fold or over the fold. It just creates a problem with opening and closing and bulking out and what have you. So we've got our 2 little pockets, as you can see, the pink ones on the left, and we're going to put a little bit of a thumbprint in these after I just rub out the paper, the marks on the paper. And the reason why I'm checking this is it actually is a fade away. So it's just making sure that the colour up this paper moved from bottom to top, since one pocket sitting on top of the other one. So that's it. Do a little bit of inking around it. I ink my stuff. So, yep, just got that done. And now we're going to be just gluing it down. And the reason why we're having a voiceover is because every second time I opened my mouth through this video, I was complaining about being sick. And I got fed up with it 10 minutes in. So I didn't expect any of you to have to put up with the constant bleating. It got a laugh, honestly. It's a laugh a minute in this house. You just never know how you're going to feel or how you're going to carry on. So what I've done is it's just a straight piece of copy paper that's been dyed with the tea coffee concoction I do. And I'm going to put a pocket in the back of this one, and we don't need to reinforce the edge where a tag's going to be going in and out because it's actually on the fold. So I'm just getting those 3 down. Now the reason why I'm putting a pocket in there, I don't know, maybe I might have thought of it eventually, but when I showed my friend what I'd done, she said, well, the first thing she did when she looked at it was like, yeah, you could put a pocket here. And I thought, yeah, you could. That's a really cool idea. So I've got 5 of them I'm making, 5 for my mass make today, plus decorated. So, that's probably enough. So we just saw me with the glitter glue and doing the 3 sides. That's the couple that are going to have pockets in it. And then putting the glue all over it and gluing it in. This one obviously doesn't have a pocket. So I thought I'd just pop, that's it, one or the other. A little bit of glue around 3 sides, or use, and I tend to use the stick glue, and I think most of us do, when we're one and all over coverage, and particularly on the copy paper, because it's only about an 80 GSM, so it's not real strong. So that's just your basic fold. Now when you're putting your piece of paper in there and it's on the fold, make sure that it's folding out to your right as you look at it, because if it folds back, it's going to fold over the pockets and just going to be a lot more difficult to journal in. And the whole point is to have a little folio that's got plenty of journaling. And I believe that on the back of those 2 tags that I've got there, there's also going to be journaling space on there. So it's a good way to increase. I'm just checking out, making sure I got them right. So this is a tab punch that I have. The majority of my tabs that I've done in a mass make were all done with the 1-inch circle punch and a little pair of scissors just to cut a little nick in the tab. So I thought, well, I've got that tab punch, and I only saw it when I got a new piece of furniture to go in here, and I was, of course, sorting out and constantly rearranging. It's like moving deck chairs on the Titanic. It's just pretty well pointless. So anyway, I've got my little pieces of manila folder, and I've cut them to the size I want. So now I'm going to just glue it down. That is coffee stained paper. It's a pretty deep colour on the back. So I didn't know whether or not, because it's night here at the moment, I wasn't sure whether or not I'd be able to do the voiceover, because we have a possum and he's out for his nocturnal feed time, I think, and he's running across the house and banging the gate, and Cody's out there chasing him around trying to catch up with him. But the lads are both asleep in here with me. Cody's taken to sleeping on this side of the doorway, because it's warmer, I guess, on the mats. So it gets a bit crowded in here sometimes. So anyway, you'll see me hide. You see up in the right hand corner, you can see a little bit of squiggly bit of paper there. Try not to do what I do and get bogged down in such a ridiculous level. Now, I saw that those tags were what I thought were quite crooked, and obviously you can't leave them that way. So I got the guillotine. I made sure I had all sides even, and then at the end of the day, it was not. It was a ridiculously small piece of paper that actually got trimmed off. So don't get caught up in perfection. It is an issue that I need to work on. I keep telling Graham to stop being a perfectionist, just to let go and do it. And I said it at lunch where we had a friend with us, and she's like looked at me and said, Can you not hear what you're saying to Graham? Do you not understand what you are? So touche. I walked right into it, didn't I? So I'm just using the tabs for something different, and I am doing rub-ons on probably on most of these 5 folios. Now I'm going to show you the rub-ons here. This is a little cheap rub-on packet that came from, a sister or a clone of Ally. I was going to say Ally McBean. AliExpress is what I meant. It's not AliExpress I got it from, but it's something similar. And I don't know how old these rub-ons were when I got them. I know that rub-ons do need to be used because they do deteriorate. But anyway, these most of all my rub-ons are 49 Market, and they release really, really well. These took a lot. It took a lot to get them released and onto the page, and I had to rub hard. I had to rub them so hard, you could actually see sort of like the rub marks on the pockets by the time I got them to release. So I'm not sold on them. I think for value and ease, 49 Market, you're not going to go wrong with it. And I don't know how much these were. I shouldn't think that they were that much. But the thing is, 49 Market have bigger packs. So by the time you take into consideration that the 49 Market are going to work, I've never had one not work for me. You get, I don't know, a huge amount more in one packet from 49 Market. So I don't think you're saving anything by going to the vendors that I went to buy these off, and I can't even remember who it was. I think, like when on our Facebook feeds, because predominantly, well, the majority of everything for me is in the art and craft world. So, they do this stuff, they run the analytics and make sure that I get adverts for all things craft. And I think it was just it popped up on my feed, and I've gone, oh, okay then, I might get them. So I am trying to use them up. Now with this one, it really is a very pretty little spray. I think it's lavender. There's a couple of them that I just couldn't get all the image off that release plastic. It didn't matter what I did. And I think I actually leave me trying to rub these off and holding up the release paper to go, see, this is what I'm talking about. But anyway, I hope everybody's well and doing okay. Winter is here for us, as I think I've mentioned a couple of times. After all our trials and tribulations and hospital and bugs and goodness knows what, we are doing fantastic. Thank you to everybody who asked. We're fine. We're fine. It's just, when I did this video, I didn't realise I sounded the way I did, and I didn't quite realise that I was really, really fatigued, and it's just really hard to push the body. It must be an old lady thing. So anyway, it sounded pitiful, me talking, because this is kind of like, it's a real, see there I'm showing you, it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get those couple of bits to release. But overall, it's, in the big scheme of things, it's fine. It's sort of like there's enough leaves and that around to cover it up. So I don't know what I was saying now. Oh, that's right. These are really simple, fun little things to make. Very basic, and I'm sure every one of you, as soon as you've looked at it, you've gone, "Yep, got it." And I've just left the camera running while I've done them all. So once again, I had hours of footage to go through to edit it, and then decided that it needed a voiceover. Between cutting it down so drastically and sounding pitiful, I decided that we'll go with the voiceover for the moment. But don't tell anybody. But I think I must have had a bit of man flu in there. I didn't cope very good. I really didn't. And I'm laughing because each time I don't know why I think it's funny. Every time I get a virus, it goes bacterial on me these days, and I don't sleep. I can't get out of bed. Oh, here I go. I'm whinging away. I'm fine. Just what have we been up to? I think I've told you all my news in the other voiceover, and I've got a couple of them. Tell you the truth, I this is my happy place. This is where I need to go to stop feeling sorry for myself and be a little bit productive. And I come in, I put the camera on. I think I've already told you this 150 times, and then off I go. And these are just fun little things to make. They come together really quickly, as you can see, and you can do as little or as much on them as what you want to. I don't want to get too carried away. Um, just because I'm not 100% sure whether or not I will use them or whether or not they'll go into our shop, or I'm not sure at the moment. So I think in this particular case, when you're not quite sure on what bigger project it's going to go with, it's best to keep it nice and simple. And I'm really pleased with the different range of colours that I've done the 5 in. It's just a brush stroke across the things that I know that I would use. And I usually come at things from a vintage angle. I have, oh, I nearly said actually, this year I have made some things that are just pretty, and I really like them. And always, I came from grunge down to vintage, so it can be a bit grunge vintage a little bit, but I've never been accused of doing pretty things. Oh, I don't know if that's even the right word. Lighter coloured things, I've always tended to go to the dark side. So I'm getting better at it. I'm pleased with my progress, but it has to be a conscious thought for me to try not and make the inking too heavy, to try not to overbear everything with darker embellishments so that it stays a bit lighter. Yeah, things like that. I did say last year this was going to be the year of pretty. So now what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little tab on our folded journaling paper so that it's just easy to get out, and it's easy for whoever gets it to know or remember that that there you do pull that paper out. It doesn't work. Well, I suppose it could work as a little, like a leaf in a book, but it's not the way it was meant to be. So now what we have to do is we just have to get a tag to fit into the back of that, and then I think we'll be about good to go. So you saw my scraps. I've got scraps everywhere again. It really just comes on you so fast. It's like, oh dear, I'm never going to be without them, am I? Because I don't know how to throw them out. It's a bit funny. So yeah, getting back to this possum, I thought we might have lost him because when I was in hospital, Graham was home and he's knocked on the door, and here's this dude standing there going, "Have you got any trees you want lopped down?" Graham's gone, "Well, yeah, actually, I do." And they're still standing because neither one of us have got round to getting rid of them. And they are the cocos palms. And they're filthy trees. They really are horrible trees. You know, in a tropical climate where I'm pretty sure that's where they all started out, it's not a problem. But they're dirty and they drop limbs, or branches, not limbs. And they have these huge seed clusters and they are big. And they come down on a roof. They could put a dent in a garage, a carport roof, and certainly make a mess of the car if the seeds fell on the car. And also too, where you've got those cocos palms, you've got bats and flying foxes. Now, I'm sure, there's going to be people listening to me that say that they're the cutest little things that ever existed. Yeah, you can have that if you want to. If you find them particularly beautiful, you live under their flight path and just wait and see for how long that you'll think they're beautiful. I had a huge amounts of trouble with the clothesline and the clothes. In the finish, we ended up putting a tarp over it so that we didn't go out there and have our freshly laundered clothes with poop droppings on them, and they do carry disease. So if you don't want them, we don't actively try to hurt them. We just don't give them a home. So anyway, we got rid of the trees, so that was really good. I Graham and I have been getting around to that for 4 years, and the only reason it happened is because somebody, bless his heart, this tree lopper come to us. So these are the 49 and Market rub-ons, and they really, really are beautiful. And I don't know whether you noticed, they released a lot quicker and a lot easier than what the other ones did. Sometimes cheap things aren't a savings, and sometimes they really are. But I'm not fussed with that other little booklet. Oh, it's got 2 sheets of little flowers in them. Oh, that was the other reason why I didn't know I'd do a voiceover tonight. With hooning in cars, racing around the roads and treating them like treating them, or believing that they themselves are a car, what do you call it? A racing car driver. There's a few of them at the moment. And there's one on a motorbike, and it's the same motorbike, and then there's a car. And the one over the back, he likes to just starts revving his car. And we're just waiting for him to blow it up. I mean, it is crazy. So anyway, I didn't sleep very well last night. It's not exactly a news flash, is it? 1:30, they started. They've got their little racetrack, which I think we're sort of like in the middle of it. I mean, quite a few streets away from where they actually go. And I last conscious time I had was at 3 o'clock this morning, and I had to get up to go to the loo, and because it's pretty well soundproof in that bedroom, which is a blessing. They were still at it. So I guess they think, the streets are empty. We can go whatever speed we want. We can control the situation. And I don't honestly think that they've got any hope of surviving the speeds they go, especially the motorbike rider. Oh, they're just so annoying. It's like no regard for anybody else's life. So I suppose if they're going to tear around in the early hours of the morning when no one's around, I don't wish any ill on them at all. But if they do have an accident and if they're ripping around at that time of morning, at least they're not taking somebody else out with them. I don't understand why they think so little of themselves. I don't understand how they don't see that their life's actually precious. It's, but no. Anyway, we've talked about that. Did I mention I really like to? We might have to pause for a breather here, girls. Oh dear. So anyway, what I've done with the editing is I've done bits and pieces of each of the five because there are a couple of little differences here and there. Just I guess a different way to embellish to make them look like they're totally different. And here comes the gold, of course. There is somebody I can blame for that obsession I have at the moment. It's not going to do me any good anyway. I might as well just embrace it. It can be quite fiddly. There we go. Got some bling on it. Now what am I going to try and do? Oh, I'm going to put a little rub on up the top, because if we put it down the bottom, I think there's one already down the bottom, but you can't see it because the bottom tag is hiding it. I just think these are so cute. Oh dear, I do carry on, don't I? So tonight I'm sitting here. I've got Graham's dressing gown on. I've got like a, I don't know, a hoodie, a zip up the front of it. It's not a cardigan. You don't call them cardigans anymore, do you? So I've got that on. I've got fleece trousers on, Arctic winter socks, slippers. You really need to know all this, don't you? And a rug over my legs, and I'm not cold. I can't move either, but I'm not cold. Louis before, because the blanket's a little bit big for me, and it's sort of like it's bunched around my feet and on the sides of me onto the floor. And Louis come up earlier on, and he's scratching and turning around, and oh, quite the performance he was putting on. And I think he was actually trying to get underneath the blanket to have a sleep with me. He's curled up in his bed now, so I do try to be mindful of the fact that he is just a little tacker, and he is short haired. He hasn't got a coat on him for the winter, not like Cody does. But it's actually easier to get rid of Cody's hair than it is Louis's. Cody indeed is the long haired and Louis the short hair. But Louis's hair is little sharp. I had the word. I was saying little needles. It just gets stuck in everything. Whereas with Cody's, most of his just blows down the hallway or from the back of the house to the front of the house when the slightest of breezes hit it, like tumbleweeds, and you just pick it up, put it in the bin, and life goes on. Louis, you've got to get the vacuum cleaner out, and then it's really quite difficult. So I don't know if any or all of you have got long-haired dogs that shred. I don't know whether you know this or not, but if you get a pair of rubber gloves, not so much the disposals, a proper rubber glove, and I have used that so much to just get hair off the beds and off the couch, and it really does take it in. And Pippa's a black cat, and she sheds, and what I've taken to doing now is I don't know why I bother with cushions and doona sets and all the rest of it, because most of the time the two spare beds that I've got in the two bedrooms are covered with an old sheet to try and keep them clean, because it's easier just to whip an old sheet off the bed, or get the hair off with the rubber glove first, put them through the laundry, and then start all over again. It's just like it's madness, isn't it, Amelia would say? It's madness out there. Oh, I won't say his name, but he's up and he's stretching and he's looking at me. He's probably thinking it's about time to go to bed. We didn't have dinner till very late tonight. So I'm just looking at the time, so it's 10 minutes past 11. So we didn't have our dinner until about 8:30 tonight, which means I didn't take my meds till then, which then in turn means that I've got no hope of going to sleep, because I don't exactly fall asleep when I've got all my medication in me anyway. So not having it certainly isn't helpful. But anyway, where are we up to here? So this is a Kaiser craft that I've pulled out. I'm thinking most of these papers that I've used are indeed Kaiser craft. That's right. Yes. Oh, I know what's wrong. Just a minute. Cody, can you get out of the doorway, please? Come on. Come on. Come on. Louis can't get past you. There you go, Louis. So, Cody sleeps right across the doorway and Louis can't get past him. So you might have heard him talking to me just then. He won't get out of my way. Well, that's just plain annoying, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm hoping that didn't come through as loud as what it came through my eardrum. I tell you, I've said it before and I'll just keep saying it. I don't know how it is so difficult to do a recording in this house. But I guess after listening to that, we all know, don't we? So I'm sorry about that. We'll just have to move on now. I don't think you'll be hearing much else out of me for a while, because your ears will be ringing, won't they? And we heard something, or something bothered him from out the back. Yeah, Cody's like, oh, I'm on the job. Here I come. All these little folios have all been made with the same recipe. It's just a case of putting more together and just sort of like spending a little bit of time with me, watching how they get decorated. You get variations in it, and it's really just fun. It's just a fun project to do. Now, Cody, if you're going to bark like that, mate, you're going to have to go out the back, okay? Don't mind me, girls. I'm just having a little heart-to-heart with that boy. You know you're not allowed to bark like that, don't you? He's looking up at me, and it's like, oh, I'm so super cute. You just couldn't possibly be upset with me. That's the way he's looking at me. I got news for you, bud. Not happy at all. So once I get this movie up, I need to do just a bit of a quick whip round and get a bit of tidying up done before it gets any worse. And then I'm hoping to have a play with Sue's new printables. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm just trying to do something a little bit different on these tabs that I'm using as tagged toppers. I didn't want them completely bare, but I didn't want big bulky decoration. I wanted to keep it pretty simple, keep it pretty flat. So then a good way to still have something looking good, and not being having any sort of dimension, is by using the stamps and the gold leaf. It takes the plainness off them, and also too the choice of your paper will help a lot. I think this would look fine with book pages as well, and I don't know why until that moment that I just said it, I didn't think to do one and out of book pages. I tell you what, for a supposedly smart girl, I'm not too bright. Oh, do you gotta laugh, don't you? You really do. I did think of something exceptionally witty and clever and funny to say. Yeah, I wish. But no, there was something I was going to say before, and I can't for the life of me I think of what it was. I'm thinking the way this is going, it's going to end up being deleted, and I'll have to start again. It's getting too close to bedtime, I think, 11:15 at night. It is getting just a little bit rude. So, oh, here we are. Where I love doing this. I am really super happy with what I've done on the front of these covers. I like them. I like them a lot. And it's kind of like takes a fair bit for me to say I like something that I've done, but I really do. Now for the butterfly antlers, I don't know if you're going to pick it up. I might have already done it. I've used a low gauge. I think that's how they measure it. Very thin, fine, like metal. Yeah, metal. And I've just cut a little bit off and put them in as antlers. So this dude has gold antlers. So I'm just not sure whether or not I did it before I put the butterfly on or I did it after. Actually, that's pretty fine because I can't see them. And I don't think that I think once I put the cluster on the front of this one, it was done and dusted. Now that's a fussy cut butterfly out of Rachel's from Roxy's Creations. That on the front there, that's one of her butterflies. Just checking out, like, yes, Vic, you've done it. Well done. Move on. I lose a lot of time just fiddling around. And sometimes I'm fiddling around because my hands are cramping. So I can do this without it looking too obvious. This, I think, is very close to my favourite of all the ones that I've done here. That yellow is really very pretty. And again, it just all worked. So I was pleased with it. And you can see that we can all use those little scraps that, oh, Vicky, you for real? Get over it. Hey, look, I'm using them. I'm using them, so just not at the rate that they need to be used. I got really brave a while back and threw out a whole bunch of stuff. I filled the recycle bin in the morning. It got emptied on Tuesday. Come the Wednesday morning, I had it just about almost full, and it only gets collected every 2 weeks. So our general rubbish gets collected weekly, but the recycle doesn't get emptied, and like it only gets emptied fortnightly. And more of our rubbish, more of our stuff that goes out of here is green. Like we'd be lucky to have a third of a bin of, of general waste, but by the time the 2 weeks is up with the recycle, it is full to the brink. So that's good. I think we've got our balance right. I did get these clusters ready and did a bit of different stuff. Obviously not all the gold leaf, but I'm painfully slow with clusters and doing focal points. I love doing it. It's not an issue with doing it. It's just that I am very slow. So I did you in the world of favour and sort of did all the hard work before we endeavoured on getting these finished. It's just that I would have started this at 11:10. We'd still be going at 3 a.m. and I've promised myself that I'm going to sleep tonight. I don't know who I'm trying to convince, but it sounds good, doesn't it? And that's a um that's from Rachel's Botanicals, I think it's called. It's her fussy cutting her flowers. I'm not exactly sure what the file name is, but it's a botanicals file, so you're going to see lots of flowers, I would think. But it looks like I've put the gilding, the gold on it, unless I decide I'm going to put it on a couple of other places. I've really embraced this gold leaf. You can thank Sue for that. Um, she was doing it, and it's like monkey see, monkey do. So thank you, Sue. I had the stuff sitting here and just never got round to using it, and watching you do your magic with it. I thought, you know what, self, I think you could probably do a little bit of that as well, because it is the finer. Keep it simple and take care of the finer details, and I think you're going to do all right. I think I'm going to stamp the tabs again because I've already done that once, I believe. So I'm wondering what you're all up to. Half of us are starting to feel the heat of the season, and the other half of us are well into our, oh, I can't call it freezing conditions. I don't know, what would you call it? Chilly? Chilly weather? I suppose it doesn't matter what it is, really. Cold's cold, isn't it? It's like hot's hot. So I'm not actually 100% sure what I'm doing with this stamp. It says destination. Oh, okay then. I must be putting that underneath one of the clusters on the front cover. Oh, there you go. It's a bit tricky for me to see that because, once again, that recording voice box is right smack in the way. I'm actually not sure I'm going to be. I hope we don't have too much longer to go, because it's been a real issue tonight. Think of something to say, and I can hear it in my voice. It's like I am so tired. I think I'm almost asleep, and it's hard for my brain to think. Now, what have we got on? We're going up to Toowoomba again next Thursday. Um, the young lady that we go up to see, and then Sue as well. Um, a young lady's heading off on holidays to Europe, and she hasn't bought a ticket to come home. Which doesn't mean anything other than she doesn't know when she's coming home. So yeah, so we'll drive up and yeah, end up in a food coma again, I'm guessing. Cause, but this time, in between the gap from lunch until our dinner reservation, we're sort of like last time we hit the op shop with gay abandon and ended up with all this stuff. I have one good outfit to wear when I go out, and mainly to the theatre, but it's sort of like one of those ones that you can take, wear it out during the day, and it'll take you through to your night out, and that's it. I've got fleece clothes on. It's like tracksuit pants and Graham's dressing, and I haven't got any, just casual, nice casual clothes that I'm not going to freeze my tush in, because I've only really got summer clothes, and like we laugh about how cold we are and know that we're bits of lightweights, but the thing is anybody that comes here, come the second or third season, and no matter where you've come from, it's going to end up starting to feel a little bit cold or a little bit too hot, because you become accustomed, you become climatized. Is that a word? You get used to the temperature, and yeah, you start feeling hot and cold and all the rest of it. Yeah. But this is I think I must have used all of Rachel's fussy cuts by the look of it. I believe that that butterfly is hers. I know definitely the birds are hers, fussy cuts, and that flower from the botanicals. So yeah, there you go. I've used all of Roxy's fussy cut to do this. So there's a little bird there. It's sort of like you can almost see him hiding in the greenery. It's like Miss Pippa. We've got a beautiful, beautiful tree out the front, and it's got these massive long branches, and one of them's a little bit too long, and is going to be an awful pain for Graham when he gets out there and mows it. But one of the big branches, and then the leaves from it just sort of just lay out nicely on the grass on the lawn, and Pippa likes to sit out the front and see what's going on. So there's a little bit of the day where she can sort of like sit in hiding underneath this branch with the foliage and the sun on her, and she's as happy as anybody think it was like Christmas on a stick. I mean, she loves it, and she sits there, and I guess she feels like she's camouflaged. It's kind of cute, really. How did we get on to talking about Pippa, boys? Okay, I'm thinking that that's got to be very close to the last one. Now, I went to take a photo of them today, which I did, but I could only find 4. And there's 5 different ones there. I think I counted them from what was there. I just have to clean the desk. I'm pretty clever the way I clean this desk. You just keep pushing it to the sides. Eventually it'll just fall off the end. So there you go. There's our little folio with journaling space, pockets and tags, and I think it's just cute as a button, really. Now, the other thing that you could do with these too, if you wanted to, you could glue them into your journal, and you could have a slimline, tall. Oh goodness, tag. Yeah, a tag in behind. There's just one of my hidden paper clips, and they sit them in there really nicely. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm faced with the same problem. It's just I don't know where the end of this video is. So if I start saying goodbye to you now, there could be another 5 minutes of this video. Or I could just say thank you for joining me. I've really enjoyed making these. Until next time, bye for now.